Hello everyone, I hope you're all having a wonderful time playing chess. And today we are going to learn about the differences between check, checkmate, and stalemate. Check, checkmate, and stalemate. So check is something you say to your opponent when you have put their king in danger. But it still means that their king has a way to get out of danger. Here's an example. This is an example of check. Check is when there is a piece that can attack your king. We know that the rook moves up and down and side to side. So here the rook can attack the king. This is called check. And when you are in check, you have three ways to get out of check: move, block, or capture. Those are the only three ways you have to get out of check. So in this case, we're going to move out of check, just like that. And now the rook does not attack diagonally. Since the rook does not attack diagonally, it is no longer check. When you are in check, you have to get out of check. You cannot make any other move in chess without getting out of check first. So let's just say, for example, that you are in check and you have another piece on the board that you can move. And the opponent says check and you decide to move the other piece. That is wrong. You cannot do that. If you were playing on the computer and you tried to do that move, the computer would not let you do that move because you are in check, which means that you have to get out of check first in order to continue the game. Also, if you are playing against somebody and they do a move like this, you put them in check and they decided to do something like that, you are not allowed to go ahead and just take their king. You can't do that. You have to tell them hey, you're in check and you have to move out of check. In a tournament, that would not be allowed. So if you are in check, you must get out of check. And there's three ways: move, block, or capture. Here's another example of check. We know that the bishop moves diagonally, and here the bishop can attack the king. The bishop is putting the king in check, and so the king needs to move out of danger, needs to move out. Right? Now, if you do have other pieces on the board that you can use, say for example, somebody puts you in check, and you have another piece on the board that you can use to block the check. So we know that we can move out of check in this situation, but we can also block check too. Sometimes that might be your only option. Say for example, if there's a piece here, and I'm just going to move this piece out for now, and you have a piece here, and there is another piece, let's say over here, and the opponent puts you in check, right? If the opponent puts you in check, you can't move here because of the bishop, right? You can't move here because of the queen. Actually, we'll put the queen right here. You can't move here because of the queen. You can't move here because of the queen. And you can't move up. All you can really do is block the check. That is another way to get out of check, blocking the check. And the other way to get out of check is to capture out of check. So let's just say, for example, the rook puts you in check right there. Well, the king can capture another piece. Just like that. Capture out of check. Those are the only three ways to get out of check. Most of the time, people will, if they can, they'll move out of check, but that might not be your best option. Sometimes your best option may be to block it or to capture out of check too. Remember, you always have three options to get out of check: move, block, or capture. Now, checkmate, on the other hand, checkmate means that you have no options to get out of check. That you are in check and the game is over because there's nothing you can do to get out of check. Here's an example. This is checkmate. You're being checked by the rook. You cannot capture the rook. You cannot block the rook. And you cannot move out of check because as soon as you move here, the queen can come and get you. That is checkmate. Here's another example of checkmate. This is another example of checkmate. The king is in check with the queen, but the king has nowhere to move. The king cannot block the queen, and if the king tries to take the queen, well, the bishop is right here protecting. That is checkmate. Checkmate means you are in check and there's nothing you can do to get out of check. The game is over. Checkmate. Those are the main differences between check and checkmate. Check means you still have a way to get out of danger. Checkmate means the game is over. There's nothing left you can do to get out of danger. Stalemate, on the other hand, is something a little bit different. A stalemate is when you are not in check, but there's nothing that you can do. So here, for example, this is an example of stalemate. The king is not in check, but the king cannot move anywhere to safety. And there's no other pieces on the board that the king has where the king can move while it's in this situation. So this is called a stalemate. It's when the king is not in check, but there's nowhere the king can move. If you have a piece on the board that you can move, even if it's just a pawn, and you want to, and you still have one piece on the board, and you're in this situation, well, then you have to move that piece. Now, if that piece is blocked and there's nothing that you can do, you can't move that piece either. That is a stalemate. There's nothing on the board that you can legally move, and the king is not in check. Stalemate. In a tournament, a stalemate would be a draw, and that's not good for black because here black should have won the game. That's good for red because red should have lost the game. So red wants the stalemate. Black does not want the stalemate because here black should definitely win the game. Remember, stalemate is the king not in check, but there's nothing that the king can do because in chess, the king is not allowed to move in to their own capture or move into danger. Anywhere the king moves, it would be in danger. Here's another example of stalemate. I've seen this happen a few times. This is another example of stalemate. The king is not in check, but the king can't move here, it can't move up, and it cannot take the rook because the other king is protecting the rook. And we know that kings cannot ever touch. Never touch. This is called a stalemate. King is not in check. So, to review, check means the king's in danger, but you can get out of danger by move, blocking, or capturing. Checkmate means the king is in check and there's no way to get out of check. That's it, the game's over. Stalemate means it's a draw, that the king is not in check, but there's nowhere that you can move the king and there's no other pieces that you can move either. If you have any questions, please make sure to go ahead and chat on the YouTube video, and I'll do my best to get back to you as quickly as I can. And I thank you again for watching another chess video here at the Oak Park Public Library. Bye!